Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Celebrating 60 years in business? That boot store must be doing something right. How about one of the largest Western collections in the area? Carhartt work clothes, affordable prices, and absolutely the best personal service you'll find anywhere. These are just a few reasons that boot store is celebrating 60 years in business. Stop in today. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 till 5:30. Next to Bill Bird Kia 15th Street in Panama City. That boot store, where God is good all the time.
The highs and lows of opening Saturday night for Suarez. I'm Kyle Rickey. That story next on NASCAR Hot Pass.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
NASCAR history.
What I learned from Ken Squire, Barney Hall, and Ned Jarrett, I could never repay. Ken never told me what to say or what not to say. I learned very quickly that I was never going to be another Ken Squire. I don't think anybody could rise to that level.
Motor Racing Network's NASCAR Live presents podcasts. 50 years of MRN. Jeff Gordon, A Colorful Career. The 1993 season. Junior's Journey, and more. Search for NASCAR Live on your favorite podcast platform.
Trackhouse racing driver Daniel Suarez saw the highs and lows of racing all in a couple of hours on Saturday night in Los Angeles. Suarez failed to qualify for the 23-car Clash at the Coliseum main event, but returned to his roots a few hours later, winning the 150-lap NASCAR Mexico race.
I knew that this race was a very, very big deal for NASCAR Mexico and for NASCAR here in the United States, and not just to have the opportunity to compete, but to have a competitive car and finishing in victory lane is quite special. Suarez
is now an 11-time NASCAR Mexico winner, running that series full-time from 2010 to 2014. I'm Kyle Rickey. This is NASCAR Hot Pass on the Motor Racing Network.
College basketball lives here. WGSX Lynn, WPLQ Port St. Joe, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Let's play the game.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
I just don't think that anybody's going to succeed in that system.
It's a bad organization.
It's just a bad organization.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles, onions pickles.
Live and local.
Look, it's impressive.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
ATL, baby. You guys are running with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is Panama City, FL. That is Florida. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We are the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop, Max Delyden, and Caveman Rick. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon on this beautiful February 6th. Welcome into the Doghouse. Whole lots going on in the sports world. Now, there's really not a whole lot going on, but we will do our best to bring you guys to the attention of the little bit that is going on. There is a lot going on in the world of local sports, though. I think the biggest piece of news to this point in the day would be the passing of Toby Keith at the age of 62. Born and raised in Oklahoma, also played semi-pro football as a defensive end for the Oklahoma City Drillers in the 1980s. He was also a huge Oklahoma fan, Oklahoma Sooners fan, and so Toby Keith passing away, and that has been the dominating piece of news on social media. Do you guys have let's start with Max. I know he's a big fan of country music. What's your favorite Toby Keith song?
Ooh, that's a tough one. A lot of people like others, but for me, it's got to be "I Love This Bar" or "How Do You Like Me Now."
I think that's "How Do You Like Me Now." It's got to be number one. So for the listeners out there, 850-215-6290, what is your favorite Toby Keith song? It's got a very diverse catalog. Would love to hear what you guys have for us, and we will shout you out along the way.
Willie Nelson.
There you go.
That's another good one right there.
That is a good one right there as well.
A lot of people down here are pissed and should have been a cowboy.
Should have been if you wanted to be a cowboy, you needed to not be. Well, there's a few opportunities to be cowboys here.
You have to live on like Laird Street. That's the only street that has horses.
Goodness gracious!
As good as I once was, is one we got
to. Yeah. I mean, there's a long list of them for sure. Wanted to come in with a Toby Keith song, but I just didn't find the time for that this afternoon because I was trying to search for anything and everything that we could possibly put on a list to talk about.
The guy's
today.
An American icon, man.
Yeah, he is.
Sang at the inauguration in 16 as well.
And then one of the most polarizing figures in sports right now, Taylor Swift.
He just
exactly. Without Toby Keith, we don't have people complaining about Taylor Swift right now. So there you go.
And the Chiefs aren't getting rigged to get in the Super Bowl just so we can have Taylor Swift watching the Super Bowl.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's go.
I left my tinfoil hat at home. We're good.
All things turning up for your girlfriend, though. Kansas State with the big win in OT last night.
Yeah, how about that?
Chiefs. Wow. Something in the water over in Kansas.
Man. Hey,
Speaking of something in the water, did you see the little video of one of the Kansas State players who had a little bit of blood on his jersey, and they were spraying this magic potion? It wasn't magic or anything, but dude, that it removed the blood pretty quickly.
Dude, whenever I have wings, I need that.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of
from the mouth as he's eating wings. He's just eating bone and all. He doesn't care.
Oh, man. Good stuff there. We've got, let's see, Scott Thomas is going to be on with us to wrap the show up today. He's the Gulf Coast State College softball head coach. They had a great weekend this last weekend, and they're going to have they have a lot of games coming up Friday and Saturday. I believe they're going to be playing in Dothan, Alabama. 420 is going to be your minute with Max. So baseball getting ready, man. I know Atlanta Braves have been packing up all of their things. They're getting ready to head down there to down here to Florida for some spring training. Can't wait for it. We were talking just a little bit about baseball yesterday because of Bobby Witt, that 11-year, $288 million deal. We'll find out more about what Max thinks on that in your minute with Max coming up at 4:20. At 4:40, we're going to have your opportunity to win some That Boot Store or $25 to not the, but That Boot Store, $25 to play some trivia with us. I'm really trying here to figure out which direction we're going to go. 5 o'clock, we're going to get into Tyler's takes, talk a little college football, talk a little mock draft, and then 5:20 we'll talk the Super Bowl. You guys can call or text us at any point in time during the show today at 850-215-6290. Tomorrow is Spring National Signing Day, and we were talking about that. Tomorrow is signing day, not just here for high school, but National College Signing Day, and you're not hearing nothing about it. The early signing day is a lot more popular, and it's in the midst of all of the bowl games, or the biggest week of college football when it comes to postseason play, and that's getting all of the shine there. And then here, we're not even talking about it. There's not much to talk about.
Yeah, no, early signing day, it's become such a huge thing for freshmen enrolling early in order to get early playing time and everything else that comes with it, and then obviously trying to get the NFL fast. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to play early in college so you can get the NFL a little quicker, start making that real money. But I remember 6-7 years ago, I used to take the day off work. I'd watch all the National Signing Day stuff, all the announcements. And it used to be a huge thing, and now it's just I forgot it was tomorrow until 20 minutes ago.
Social media is really
everybody's already done. Yeah. I mean, there's probably 6 or 7 guys maybe ranked nationally, if that are going to be announcing tomorrow. And it's nobody anymore, and it's just crazy to see.
I've been reminded a couple of times by social media that it's tomorrow, and I forgot, when you brought it up, National Signing Day is tomorrow, and that's the third time this afternoon that I've been reminded of that, and I'll forget again. I'll wake up tomorrow and be like,
You'll see some tweets about
What's
it.
going on today? Oh, yeah, it's National Signing Day. And then, a couple hours later, all 6 or 7 of those fellas will have signed, and I guess we'll talk a little bit about that.
And our friend, Danny Griffin, his son's signing at noon at Arnold.
Yeah, there you go, man. University of Mobile, a great season to this point for Arnold. It's not wrapped up yet, but yeah, that's huge news, and I know that's got to be huge for Danny. He's got his daughter playing at Southern Miss.
Yep.
Yeah, and now his son's going to be playing over there at University of Mobile. So, hey, maybe soon, after they're done with their collegiate careers, they're going to be back here teaching soccer camps to everyone.
Heck yeah.
There you go, Bay United
Grow the
Soccer
game,
Club.
baby.
What's that?
Grow the game.
Hey, what'd you think of, since I don't want to take your time whenever and we'll get into local, but Lindsey Horan, the U.S. Women's National Team co-captain, is that not how you say her last name or something?
Yeah, what about her?
Well, just her comments on U.S. Soccer fans not being smart. Did you see that?
Not being smart.
Yeah, and but look, that's what the headline read. But what she was saying is she'll have games where she knows that she did not play very well, but American fans don't really understand by looking at a box score or by watching the game, like what good soccer is and what good soccer isn't. And she was like, don't get me wrong, I'm giving them the credit of they are becoming more knowledgeable of the game, but as a whole, a lot of American fans really don't understand the game, and there's that. Your thoughts?
I kind of disagree with that. Maybe it's different. Admittedly, I follow the U.S. men's team a little closer, and maybe those fan bases kind of differ because I think there's a larger following there. But
so you're saying more of us followed the losers?
I mean,
no, I'm kidding.
I mean, this is a rabbit hole we don't want to go down.
No, this is the rabbit hole we need right now.
This is also the girl, though, who was talking trash to the Wrexham retired players when they beat them on the short court. And, those guys had all not played soccer in 7-8 years, and we saw it. It was 14-1, 20 minutes in, or 14-0.
I will say probably in her defense, most fans don't know what they're of any sport.
Yeah.
Aren't great at evaluating play in general. And then you add into the fact that it's soccer that I would say not a vast majority, but there's a good bit of Americans that don't know much about soccer.
Yeah.
So you're just probably looking at the box score. You're just doing it looked like she had a good game, but
what statistics? I was about to say, what statistics in soccer are we looking at?
Their box score is tough because it's hard to understand.
Played.
I always urge people to download. There's an app called FOTMob, FOTMOB, and when you look at the lineup and you look at the results after the match, this is bad radio, but I'll pull it up for you. It shows the player ratings, and I think that's something that
there's PFF for soccer.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And then you can click it though, and you'll get outside of minutes played goals, you get accurate passes, chances created, shots on target, and that's stuff that's more in depth. But I know what she's saying about it. Is harder to gauge, but then at the same point, we have people who would say Jordan Travis is an elite QB, and he's not, and that's a bad person analyzing the sport. So it's the same in every sport. I mean, baseball too. You've seen it. You've seen it with the Brave stuff. I mean, I'm not sure. You've seen it with the Brave stuff too when we were talking about Dylan Dodd, the Dodd father, guys like that. I mean, I was wrong. I thought he'd be a little better, but
and that's the biggest thing with baseball is consistency. But we're not just going to brush over the Jordan Travis. We're not.
Sensei Crease loves and approves of your
that was smooth
insensitivity and your cruelty.
Wait, what did you just say? The introduction.
Sensei Crease approves of your brutality.
Is that your new nickname?
No, that's a meme that I have actually on my phone that I can send out, and it's got Sensei Crease holding his fist up, sweep the leg.
Okay, all right. I like that for a nickname for you. Let's go on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when you're running the board. I'm calling you Sensei Crease from now on.
Word.
Because it's kind of like a goalie,
Yeah, like the crease in the goal.
Yeah, exactly. And the sensei of the crease. All right, go ahead, Max.
I'm just saying, there's bad gauges for all that. LeBron's son, right now, he's not an NBA player. He's a good overseas
He's
player.
He's going to be an NBA player, though.
Maybe. He wouldn't get drafted right now, though.
If Giannis's brothers are being an NBA,
Dude, I've been watching some of those USC games. Like, but he's so lucky his name is Bronny.
And
because,
I'm not saying that his play is going to get him to the league. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that a team is going to acquire that either LeBron is going to remain a Laker, and the Lakers are going to sign Bronny undrafted, because it almost works out better for LeBron James if Bronny does go undrafted. If he wants to play with his son, it is a lot easier to get someone as an undrafted free agent rather than the team that you're playing for has to draft him.
Although he has the
maybe
LeBron to
LeBron
opt out though, so he doesn't.
Maybe LeBron's telling him to tank.
No,
I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. Also, he could opt out, and dude, I don't think he loves the Lakers. I mean,
LeBron himself or Bronny?
LeBron. I think they're super such a bipolar team. Like they can play with
money.
Yeah, there you
attention.
go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not like LeBron is stuck with any organization to this point.
But I'm saying, after this year, I don't think he would hate leaving the Lakers. He's kind of left their roster in a mangled state.
So where's the ideal landing spot? All right, so let's say this. Let's say that...
Who gives them all the control?
Yeah. Exactly. So what team
Thunder.
would you like to see? Hey, but the Thunder, though, the Thunder already have a decent crew.
The Thunder are so
now.
much fun.
He should go to Orlando or Minnesota, someplace where they're totally they never won jack, they're never going to, and just give those people something to cheer. If he won in Orlando, he'd be bigger than Mickey Mouse. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, this is.
Would he be? He'd be bigger than Mickey Mouse.
Florida sports on there.
I mean, I'm just saying. You agree? I mean,
all I know is this: is that it ties into our pre-show conversation, which had nothing to do with what we were going to be talking about today or anything. We were just talking about Tom Brady.
It is media day, right? For Super Bowl, it's supposed to be an off-the-wall day.
Well, there you go. So we're talking about Tom Brady and how I'm not going to say that I regret that I never got the opportunity. That I never took, not got the opportunity, because that's the whole point of this. We had the opportunity, whether it be when he, with the Buccaneers at a home game, that's about 6 hours away, or when they play against the Saints, that's another game that's about 6 hours away, or the Falcons. That you know what I'm saying? Within a 6 hour radius, you had multiple opportunities. I had multiple opportunities to go see Tom Brady and just never did that. So, and it kind of stinks that there's two sides of it, right? You kind of felt or the other side of it rather is that you felt like he was going to just continue to play forever. So same way with LeBron James, if he comes there to Orlando, and it'll just be another one of those situations where one of the greatest to ever do it is playing, right essentially in our backyard and not take the chance to go down.
Yeah, but at least with the NBA, you get 40-something home games. Plus.
Yeah, you
get a lot more opportunities. Those tickets are probably a little bit cheaper on average too.
That's a good point too. And we're actually about to start running Magic games.
Yeah, it was a while there. Those Bucks tickets, when he first signed there, those home games were stupid expensive just because it was Tom Brady. And
Gronk too at the same time. Yeah. And Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I like Rick's idea. I like LeBron going to Minnesota.
But Minnesota.
My boy Anthony Edwards. Let's go.
I mean, you got Ant Edwards over there, who's a lot of fun to watch on some nights, and then it seems like the very next night after he has a great game is
yeah, but his interviews are gold.
Yeah, no, very.
I love that $40,000 fine. Yeah.
If it was we was playing 8 on 5 out here.
8 on 5, yeah. It's we still won.
Hey, no, but as far as, him as the player, where it's very inconsistent, one night is he can't miss, and then the other night he's playing the same exact style of the ball and cannot buy a bucket at that point in time. So, but I think Orlando is probably my favorite place to think about LeBron and Bronny. And then Paulo Banchero.
Does LeBron opt out, and then dare a team who's going to draft my son? So so then he raises his son's draft stock, and how far does he climb up the draft boards just so somebody can draft him and then sign
the other
LeBron?
Possibility might be the Knicks go to MSG, New York City. James Dolan's a big enough whack job that he'd probably sign him and tank for his kid.
Or wait, when does the new stadium for the Clippers open up?
That's in 3 or 4 years, because I think they just broke ground on that thing recently. I think it's
but I mean, if you're the Clippers, why not make a run at LeBron?
This is a sub-zero chance because it's the Bulls and they never do the right thing, but it'd be kind of a conundrum for LeBron if it was the Bulls, just because Jordan comparisons, they'd just eat him up.
Chase that ghost now, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin says the tickets were crazy because of COVID. If we were being honest about how social If we're being honest, I had to read that to make sure that I wasn't going down any path I didn't want to. If we were being honest about how social distancing caused spikes in prices, sure. Tom Brady made Bucks tickets go insane, but having one ticketed seat every other 5 seats, that's a good point. So, and you're not going to get away from your Jordan Travis's garbage.
It's okay. CFL's a great league.
I didn't say it was garbage. You said he was elite.
Elite.
Yeah, that is true. He did not say that he was garbage. You just said that he wasn't elite.
He's not.
All right, that's...
Well, I mean, before he got injured, he was like a 6th-round pick, and now he's probably going undrafted. So I don't know where the eliteness...
I'm with you on that. I do have to stand by, like, I don't think that Jordan Travis was elite. Was he a perfect quarterback for what Florida State needed? Absolutely. Well, he was a great... No, I do think he was. I'm just saying...
So you're saying he's a game manager?
I'm not saying that he was a game manager either, though, because he was more...
That's the buzzword right now because of Purdy.
Yeah. What's that?
It's like saying Brock Purdy's a great solution for San Francisco needs, but like if they had Patrick Mahomes.
Man, for me, the verdict is still out on Brock Purdy as far as like sticking him into that game manager and just leaving him there, because some of those throws that he was making, not last Sunday, but the Sunday before, with his legs, but then the one, I think it's one of the ones that's getting thrown out there a lot, but that one where he kind of scrambled, I believe found Kittle there on the sideline, gaining a first down, and it's just like, those are the,
that was a great throw.
Right, great throw and great escapability, so, and we're also talking about year 2, like, it's hard to put people in and take people out of elite categories when we're still, even if it's 2 years, talking about a small sample size. And in that small sample size, the same thing that we give all of these kudos to Patrick Mahomes for, we're talking about a guy who was one elbow short of the Super Bowl last year, but still made it to the NFC Championship. And then this year, they're in the Super Bowl. And taking a very wild path, right? Because the regular season was like, what in the world? Or not the regular season. The regular season was they were on fire, had a little 3-game stretch that's what's going on with Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Then they get to the playoffs, and it was like with the Packers and the Lions, 2 teams that you really didn't expect them to struggle in the way that they struggled with them in the first half, and they did, but they came out victorious with a coach who doesn't have the greatest track record of comebacks. So I don't know. For me, I just can't throw Brock Purdy in the game manager side of things. But also,
he does own the Packers, though. Shanahan does.
Yeah,
in the playoffs every time. That's what, 3 in a row, 4.
Is it 4? It's 3 or 4. It's 3 or 4. Good
count.
Hey, I mean, as a Bears fan, you got to hold on to anything that you can get against the Packers, because it's never going to come from the Bears side of things.
Yeah. Okay, Titans.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Anytime I make fun of any team, I leave myself wide open.
Fair. At least you have the Tide. I have nothing, Dave. You have the Braves.
Do I even have the Tide anymore, man? Has the Tide? Yes. Are we at low tide now? Yeah, I know you're excited.
Indy Bama, baby.
Indy Bama. I know you're excited about DeBoer. We'll see how it all plays out, though. I mean, he's bringing in a phenomenal coaching staff, all of that good stuff, but will the tampering issues stick? All of that good stuff. I mean, the NCAA at any given time. Now, doesn't it seem like Alabama could be opened up to the same as Tennessee and Florida State and Florida, where it's like, hey, if we see something Alabama does, or we don't like that Alabama is doing, now is the time to ban them, you know what I mean? So we'll see about that. High school basketball, real quick, we'll go over these scores, and then we will get into your minute with Max. High school basketball in the girls district tournament, Mosley falls to Childs 42-37. Taylor beats North Bay Haven 37-32. Bluntstown over Cottondale by 40, 57-17. Liberty beats Needs 42-26. Paxton over Northview 51-13. Port St. Joe beats Weewaw by 2, 42-40. And Bay gets a win over Walton 37-33. In boys basketball tonight, Mosley is going to be hosting Childs. That game tips at 6 p.m. Port St. Joe is hosting Weewaw. They tip tonight at 6 p.m. Pine Forest is hosting Arnold. They'll tip at 6 p.m. as well. And Gadsden County is going to be hosting North Bay Haven. tip on that is I don't know what time it is because it was not listed on Max Preps. In boys soccer tonight, and this game is actually already going on and probably over by now, so if any of you listening have the score for boys soccer in the state tournament, PK Young out of Jacksonville is taking on North Bay Haven. That game started at 1 p.m. Santa Fe is hosting South Walton tonight at 6 p.m. and Bay is hosting Wakulla tonight at 7 p.m. Bay's the number one seed in the tournament. They started out the season at 0-2-1 and then went 12-2-1 to finish the season, getting wins over 6A Mosley, Crestview, and Tate, and also 5A Choctaw and a 3A North Bay Haven district championship team. Last year, Wakulla was the team that beat them in the first round, and they've already beaten Wakulla in the district semis. That was on January 27th, and so hopefully Bay can get a little bit of a revenge tonight. In girls soccer in the state tournament, North Bay Haven is hosting McClade. That'll be at 4 p.m. at Tommy Oliver. The Bucks have 105 goals scored for, and 28 is what they've given up. The average score in their wins is 5-1, and all 4 losses are just by 1 goal. And South Walton will be hosting PSFAS, who is 8-8-1. South Walton 13-1, and that match starts tonight at 6 p.m. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout, and we'll be right back.
Take ESPN Northwest Florida with you everywhere you go.
Anytime, any place, anywhere.
The sports talk and live play-by-play doesn't have to end when you get out of the car. The ESPN Northwest Florida app streams your favorite sports talk hosts and the biggest games in ultra-high fidelity.
This is of utmost importance in travel.
Take the sports talk monster with you anywhere you go. Available for Android and iPhone.
Use it anywhere or any place.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. The rest of the day, there will be a gentle breeze out of the north, sunshine, and 64. Clear skies tonight, colder at 43, and a wind coming out of the northeast at 6 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny and a light breeze right around 7 miles per hour with a high of 62. About the same at 63 Thursday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Billboard Kia. Let your New Year adventures begin in a new Kia Sorento. Billboard Kia has a few new 2023 Kia Sorentos left, and they will not last long. You get the savings and drive away today. Now offering 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. Billboard Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillboardKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $2,122 per month for $1,000 finance for 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billboard Kia warranty. Must see dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/4/24.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
But I wonder how much time he really kind of put into the playbook.
Where it's halftime all the time.
He may be the cream of this crop of quarterbacks.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Well, they got to do something here, but otherwise this is just going to be another lost season.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. Want to remind you guys about Warrior Beach Retreat saluting. They have the parade, which is going to be February 22nd. I'm trying to look through Max to read this. The speaker is going to be Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. He is U.S. Army retired and U.S. Congressman. It's going to be over there at First Baptist Church, 640 Grace Avenue. That'll be Thursday, February 22nd, and the ceremony starts at 7 p.m. Not entirely sure about the parade and that route. I know admission is free and it's open to the public, and that you can get the parade route at warriorbeachretreat.org. warriorbeachretreat.org. Give us your calls and text 850-215-6290. Max really wants to debate someone on Jordan Travis.
No,
and I think we have a question on this. So Tyler, read the question that's just on Facebook.
We got a question from Justin here. If both Purdy and Travis were going to the draft based solely on their college film, who would you be picking this year? Be honest. Did any of us know who Brock Purdy were before he got thrust in the starting role? The answer to that is yeah. Brock Purdy wasn't a name guy by any means, but played over there at Iowa State. They played enough bigger games. Had a few pretty big upsets, beating Oklahoma one year.
It's like the prominence of like Will Howard, probably.
Yeah, probably similar. The truth is, Jordan Travis was a very good, maybe even a great college quarterback.
Yeah, he was exceptional.
There's a reason why his injury helped leave them out of the college football.
Right, exactly. Because if Jordan Travis doesn't get injured, Alabama, Nick Saban might not be retired if Jordan Travis doesn't get injured.
All thanks to North Alabama, I guess. But if we're talking NFL, Jordan Travis has never looked like an NFL guy to me. No. Not consistently. Everybody's got those moments.
I think what everyone was looking for this year, and I'm by no means an NFL QB expert, but was his pocket passing and can he throw on the run? And I don't think we saw any real growth in that. I think maybe as a leader and as a player of college football, he's experienced and well seasoned, and he had great receivers around him. Don't get me wrong, but was there anything that was really standout-ish?
Yeah.
No, and I think the draft boards reflected that before his injury, and I still think they do now.
Put Jordan Travis on Iowa State. How does he do, on that team without the weapons, the wide receivers that he's had, at FSU and stuff like that?
Well, and that's kind of what the point of this, though, is how many of us were talking about Brock Purdy when he was at Iowa State, though?
Because he was at Iowa State. If he was at, an FSU or if he was at, a USC or someplace like that, there would be more, notoriety for him. That's where he was playing.
I agree. To me, his career is very similar to James Franklin from Mizzou when he was there. Same type of.
Ooh.
Yeah. How's that for a comp? That's from back in the
pool, man.
What is that? That's the
2011,
SEC
2012.
West?
Right when they joined the SEC, they went to the SEC.
Yeah, 2013 they won the SEC.
Yeah,
that division, right?
The East, yeah.
The East.
2020, yeah.
They beat Johnny Football at home.
You're talking about Jordan Travis. That's your comparison?
Yeah, James Franklin.
Okay.
He had a decent CFL career, and maybe Jordan can do the same.
Now, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, though, right? Just like the same way that we never expected, Brock Purdy to have this career or whatever. Sometimes when you get that chip on your shoulder, and you go from having some prominence, some relevance to, all right, well, now I'm being told I'm not, even more so that I'm not a NFL type quarterback, and then you put yourself in the gym, and who knows where that could take you at that point.
The QB collections.
The style is harder, as popular as it's become, the mobile quarterback. The style is harder and harder to get away with that in the NFL consistently, right? Yes, you got to have the mobile quarterback, but defenses are starting to realize how to slow those down and slow those guys down pretty quick. So if you're going, you still got to have the arm talent to get it done. Not saying that Jordan Travis doesn't. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I don't see any of these quarterbacks. I don't think we have a good quarterback in this draft class.
I agree. I've been on the bandwagon of this. This ends up being one of the more disappointing quarterback classes.
You don't even think Caleb pans out?
Bro.
It depends on what you're wanting from Caleb. If you think you're getting the next Patrick Mahomes, overrated. If you think you're getting the next Kyler Murray, I think you could get that. I don't see the next Patrick Mahomes, though.
Did we see this? And I'm sure some people did. Hold on. I'm sure some people did see what we were going to get out of C.J. Stroud, but not many, right?
Yeah.
And so that's
what I want the Bears to take, remember? We go back on the film.
Yeah. And so
but he probably wouldn't have been that good on the Bears. We just ruined quarterbacks. and D'Amico Ryan runs circles around Matt Eberflus.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans could be, coaching in a coma and do better than Matt Eberflus. So,
oof, man.
Did I not watch Matt Eberflus this year?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
Three 10-point leads, and that was a good defense. And he's a defensive-minded coach. I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, go ahead and stay up there all you want to.
This is your minute with Matt.
This is your minute with
Caleb. So where do you think he can fall in the middle between them, Dak, a more mobile?
I just
Dak,
think that.
Kyler Murray's been my comp for him for like 8 months now.
What's his ceiling, though?
I mean, a better Kyler Murray. I mean,
a slightly taller Kyler Murray.
I mean,
just give me some optimism.
I mean, obviously, a lot smarter people than me are a lot more confident in Caleb Williams' NFL abilities. So, I mean,
Sean Payton's been drooling over him for years.
Take it for what you will. I mean, Lincoln Riley knows quarterbacks. He loved the guy. Obviously. Yeah. He was a 5-star recruit for obvious reasons. The guy's had a heck of a career, Heisman winner. But I mean, we'll see.
And for me, it's not as I know that the kid has the talent. I don't think there's any question if Caleb Williams has the talent. But my question is, if your back's against the wall, if you're told you're not going to be the starter, then what happens? Because it seems to be, and I don't know him, you know what I mean? But it's just like kind of, all right, if things aren't going my way, when the going gets tough, I'm not going to get going. It's just I kind of pull myself out of the race.
I will say, in his defense, he did go to Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler having a pretty dang good freshman year. Obviously, it ended up working out well. He gets benched. Rattler gets benched for Williams, even though Rattler wasn't playing terribly. So maybe there was, like, going into it, he's like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're going to get you in there before too long. But he did go to a place that wasn't necessarily the easiest path to start coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Right.
So in his defense, he did at least take on that challenge.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. There you go. I'm just... That would be my issue, is I wonder about that, because there just seemed like some of the games in this season last year with USC that whenever they were down and out, instead of rallying the troops, it was kind of like, all right, guys, like,
didn't have that Michael Penix Jr. in him.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. So we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, Michael Penix, I think is good, but like.
He's a fun college guy. He's probably more of like a Josh Dobbs.
Like a Tua situation, whereas like he could have everything go for him if he's got a great supporting cast around him, but what will the consistency be? Because when Tua does good, it's never about what Tua did, it's about what the others around him were doing. When Tua and the Dolphins aren't doing good, it's about how bad Tua is. Caleb Williams, for me, my comp would be a 2-inch taller Bryce Young.
I would say maybe Vince Young because of the attitude and the demeanor coming into the league. Like, he's thinking he's maybe like, hotter than what he really is, and that, could be a detriment to you. So I would say maybe like a Vince Young to me.
Bryce Young, come on, man.
What do you mean? Like great college quarterbacks? He
was okay.
Who was okay?
Bryce Young. We all knew he had the Bama whole back end line, the wide receivers. Don't give me Bryce Young, dude.
All right, man.
I'll be sad.
That's just what I'm giving you.
That's fine. I'm so glad I get to leave here with Bryce Young and Kyler Murray as the possible number one pick.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We could both be dead wrong, and he's the second coming of.
This is what I get for my
Steve Young or something like that.
From earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
I get my balloon pop now.
I mean, well, who do you think he's going to go to?
Bears.
You think the Bears are going to stay tight there at the number one pick?
Like, it would have made sense, to hire Cliff or fire Eberflus. We're not ran like your normal organization. Whatever you think we're going to do, we'll do the opposite. So we'll keep the coach. We won't hire the guy who has connections with him, and we'll still take him.
There you go.
And then fire the head coach next year and have him have a whole new system.
Yep.
We'll see how that works out.
That's why you can't have a 102-year-old owner.
Bears.
Bears. That's the thing, though. So.
Right.
Even if he's got the talent, though, and you've already said that the Bears ruin quarterbacks, so how can you even have good expectations for the future with Caleb Williams?
Just wait and see, man.
We can't have nice things.
Hey, I will say, though, because, last year, Amanda was one of the Bears fans who were saying, I see 6 or 7 wins, this year. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, I see the number one pick in y'all's future again. And hey, look, we were both right, right? Yeah. We were both right because of the Carolina Panthers. But, 6 or 7 wins. So, obviously, something. I think that you're in better position with Justin Fields knowing what you have and knowing that it's still young than what the possibility of what Caleb Williams could be.
I don't know, man. I'd rather reset the clock, have that.
No?
The Bears, I heard some stats today that the only team in the league that's never had a 4,000-yard passer, the only team in the league that's never had a quarterback throw for 30 touchdowns yet in a season, okay? They don't do quarterbacks there. They need to run the ball. They need to have a great defense. Use your draft picks and do what's worked for you in the past and stick there.
Even more of a reason to keep Justin Fields then, because what is Justin Fields better at doing than passing?
Well, he'd save us like $120 million by getting rid of him. So.
No, you don't pass. You run the ball, man. Get you a
That's
good
what I'm
stout
saying.
in.
Run the ball with Justin Fields.
Oh, not about him.
Rick,
I'm talking.
I appreciate you saying that because I didn't want to give Justin Fields a Daniel Jones contract and be stuck with him.
So what we're saying is Chicago's going to hire the Navy head coach. They're going to go full triple option. Take the NFL by storm.
Wishbone.
Defensive identity, early 2000s Ravens, Chicago
like
Bears.
It's 1932. Like let's
85 Bears,
go.
Man. Jim McMahon is your quarterback. I mean, that's what you guys won with, right?
Yeah.
Listen, if Kelsey retires, if Jason Kelsey actually does retire, lure him out of retirement, and then just run nothing but it. Forget the triple option, just a brotherly shove
Fields
all the way down the field.
He can't squat 800
but it
pounds.
starts, but it's
he can't find a yard to save his life in those situations.
Yeah. So then get Tom Brady out of retirement.
Yeah, the best yard rusher in the game.
Tom Brady and Jason Kelsey together, just 100-yard dashes in incremental.
Gosh. All right. Baseball.
Let's get into it.
I forgot to put one on here,
All
too,
right.
with Bobby Witt. Corbin Burns trade. That was a big move. We never talked about that.
For some reason, I went Corbin Carroll there. Yeah, Corbin Burns to the O's, man. The day after the sale, too. Like, is that showing that the ownership is taking this seriously?
And that and Bobby Witt's deal to the Royals should show you that no small market team has limitations on being able to spend money on players in baseball. That is a total excuse. If the Royals can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And same with Baltimore. Like Baltimore, I know it's a bigger city, but they've been known forever for being super cheap, super by the budget. If you told me that the team that from 2021 till this year, the 3 of the 4 guys who allowed the lowest OPS against hitters was Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and 4th was Freddie Peralta. 3rd was Shohei Ohtani. And the fact that the Brewers did nothing with that is killer.
And they had not just Corbin Burns though, but they had a good rotation, and then Devin Williams added into the mix over there.
And Hader for a little bit.
Yeah, and Hader too before they let the Padres have him. Where did Hader end up going? Was it the Stros?
Astros. The Astros are like Patrick Mahomes. They're inevitable, dude.
Yeah, dude. That really is true, man. And it's like the Dodgers are. Who's the team that's just? I'm really trying hard to. Oh, the Cowboys. The Cowboys, the team who just can't really get it done unless it's the Cowboys didn't get it done in
Cowboys
the
are still more
2020.
successful than the Brewers, at least. Well.
Yeah, no, more so than the Brewers. But I do love that for the Orioles, though, to have the year that they had last year and then to shore up that rotation, because it's been, a few years, really, since John Means has had the means to be on the mound like that, dealing with a lot of injuries.
Kyle Bradish was
good. Grayson Rodriguez, did he ever really?
He turned it on at the end.
I know you've been huge on him.
In your face, here, I'm telling you, Grayson Rodriguez is a dog. He ended that last stretch of the season, last 6 starts or so, balling. Once he got called back up, he's dialed. He is a stud. I still believe in him.
So with the Kansas City Royals, 11 years, $288 million. What do you love about that deal? Because I know it's the small market side that you love about it, but do you think that?
So the limitations with Witt that are scary are his OBP. He's not a huge on base percentage guy. He doesn't have the best eye, but he is a 5-tool player. It's refreshing to see a guy who he's been highly rated since he got drafted, everything, and he's definitely lived up to his expectations. He started out a little slow last year and then ended the year, I think, with 30 homers. He's fast. His only other knock, really, is he's not the best mitt for being a shortstop, which that comes with time with a lot of those younger shortstops, but they can really be hit or miss, especially once you get up to the MLB. Just different grounders than you're used to seeing anyway, and turn time. So I think it's a good deal for the Royals, but the Royals are also, even though they were good in, what was it, 2014?
I think that's when they
won. Or was
it
15? Did they go? Because didn't Zobrist go back-to-back? Or
you just keep talking, and I'll keep finding out.
It's cool for them. They have a decent bit of young guys.
2015.
There you go. And
they beat the Mets.
They just... They're one of those organizations that you and I always talk about, though, that aren't always ran well. So maybe this is going to be a good turning point. They're kind of copying the Braves model by signing your studs early.
Totally different, though, isn't it? Right, though, because we're not throwing around $288 million to players. It's
you're giving Michael Harris 100 or Acuna. What's the Acuna deal again?
Man,
it's a good deal for you guys. I know that.
I want to say it's like 8-year.
Is it 112 or like
it's
like something
115
stupid.
or something? Yeah,
because he's top 3 player in baseball.
What'd you think?
Arguably the best hitter.
What did you think of Vladdy Jr. getting the MLB The Show cover?
I don't get it. I guess kids like his jersey. I mean, he really was underwhelming. Like, I can name a ton of first basemen that are better than him.
Yeah, and then I saw this. I think this was Friday after the show, but Jason Kelce wants to buy the backyard
franchise.
Get the backyard franchise. Pablo Sanchez, man, Pete Wheeler, Kenny Yamaguchi?
Yeah, Kenny and Vicky Kawaguchi.
Yeah, there you go, man. Oh, dude, and to have someone, I think to have someone like Jason Kelce in on that series, and then to play it on a controller and not like the
I kind of like
mouse.
The computer.
I know, but like here we are in 2024.
Yeah.
Let me.
Can you bring back NFL Street while we're at it?
Yeah,
golly, that was
a good game.
NFL Street.
Who could bring that back?
2 was phenomenal.
Jason Kelce.
No, Jason Kelce fits perfectly in with a backyard.
Need NHL hits back.
NHL hits, MLB
Vontae's
Slugfest.
perfect.
Vontae's perfect.
NBA Jam.
What's Antonio Brown doing? Maybe he can help get NFL Street.
I think he's working on a podcast with Chris Jones. I think Chandler Jones. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What's the name of that podcast?
ETC.
Is it actually?
I'm pretty no.
I was gonna say that's a pretty good name for it. Unhinged.
Unhinged. Oh man. How about Le'Veon Bell? Saying that,
Gronk with NFL Street would be the move.
Yes,
that would be good,
that
man.
Would be the move. USAA as a sponsor.
I think instead of remaking a whole game like that. We do need to go to a break. But instead of remaking a whole NFL Street game, I think that you could just have that as an add-on. And they kind of do in Madden, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. And for the backyard ones, they got to bring it back to like the early 2000s backyard games. Those were the best. Like the first one with the pros is like the best baseball game ever.
When you have Sammy Sosa, Ken Griffey Jr. Oh, yeah, man. And then, the ball flying.
That dog will hunt.
That dog will.
Watch out, Sputnik. That puppy's headed for orbit.
Yes. That is good stuff. Backyard baseball. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We'll be right back. Taking your calls and texts at 850-215-6290.
Country music singers have always been a real close family.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Well, I never seen a contract ever in college football where you have immunity. I mean, have you?
No.
That's what he wanted.
Right.
And does that tell you something right there?
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, too. Think back to when he got that 3-game suspension from the Big Ten.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. The rest of the day, there will be a gentle breeze out of the north, sunshine, and 64. Clear skies tonight, colder at 43, and a wind coming out of the northeast at 6 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny and a light breeze right around 7 miles per hour with a high of 62. About the same at 63 Thursday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Mid-South Lumber, where they treat you like family. Locally owned and serving the residents of Bay County for over 45 years. See Mid-South Lumber for all of your DIY projects, including windows, doors, siding, lumber, and millwork. Are you building a new home? Bring your contractor in to Mid-South Lumber and meet with a member of their sales team to discuss your framing, siding, windows, and doors. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City. 717 West 11th Street.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
They're number one in the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll start this segment off with a little bit of trivia. And the question for today is, who has the most receiving touchdowns in a Super Bowl? Who has the most receiving touchdowns in a Super Bowl? This particular player actually did this twice, but you're going to win $25 to not the, but that Boo store and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock if you tell me who has the most receiving touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
In an individual Super Bowl. Correct?
Individual Super Bowl, yeah, because he did this twice in 2 different Super Bowls. Do you have an idea who the answer is?
Yeah.
All right. Nothing but a grain. Nothing but a grain. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop. Max is gone, so it is no longer your Minute with Max. But I did want to give a shout out to Southern Elite Sports and just kind of name off all their champions who did a great job. Kindergarten and first grade champions, Young Guns, who were coached by Brent Potter and Ricky McNairn. Kindergarten and first runner-up, Dolphins, coached by Chris Kramer. Second and third champions, Ankle Biters, coached by Michael Dupree and Mark McLean. And second and third runner-up, Lightning, coached by Chris Stamps. And the second and third lower champions, the Hurricanes, were coached by Jack Hagler and Brandon Cutchins. Fourth and fifth champions, Patriots, coached by Josh Milner and Justin Bush. And fourth and fifth runner-up, it was Team Dynasty, coached by Ryan Mulvey and David Hayes. Fourth and fifth lower champions, Bulldogs, coached by Matthew Jones. Sixth and eighth champions, 49ers, coached by Garrett Connor. Sixth and eighth runner-up, Makos, coached by Nick Weegley and Alex Kotris. And sixth and eighth lower champions, the Trojans, coached by Kyle Shipp. And then they also had the All-Star Games, which this is very cool stuff here. Thursday, February 8th for the Red versus Blue. Should I give the shout-outs to all of the kids? Just read off all their names?
Go for it. I mean,
go for it.
How often are the kids going to get to hear their name
exactly.
on the radio?
Hey, now you're an all-star. All right, so this is, they're not having an all-star for kindergarten and first or 9th and 11th. So I'm not entirely sure which, this is 6th and 8th grade. All right, perfect. Great stuff. All right, so the coach for the red team is going to be Garrett Connor. He's going to lead Mace Grant, Parker Rowe, Braylon Bullock, Parker Roberts, Caleb Coppola, Leighton Seaborn, Adrian Morris, Chris Kramer, Grayson Price, and Jalen Williams. The blue team, coached by Nick Weegley, Caleb Capps, John Kotris, Brody Gilbert, Rushton Jones. Oh, that's a football name. Rushton Jones, Caden Spotswood, Finn Oybrink, I think. Craig Shipp III, Bryce Farmer, Riley McNeil, and Jay Hintz. Congratulations to all of y'all making the All-Star game for the 4th and 5th graders. The red team, coached by Josh Milner. It's going to be Jace Ferguson, Leo Matum, Austin Hanlon, Brady Whitfield, Mason White, Jake Bush, Joey Tannehill, and Brody Jones. On the blue squad, coached by Ryan Mulvey, it's going to be Luke McCord, Liam Mulvey, Jet Jackson. Oh, that's a good football name, too, right there. Jet Jackson, Landon Matum, David Dykes, Easton McKinney, and Asher Jostin. I believe Taggart Fish is going to be on that team as well. In the second and third flag football game, it's going to be red versus blue, and this is going to be Chris Stamps coaching the team, Walker Stamps, Grace Sostheim, Jonah Gagnon, Jonathan Bailey, Hugh String, Luca Dickley, Gavin Gill, Jeremiah Alls, and Griffin Walsingham. For the blue team, coached by Paul Ray, is going to be Sawyer Kramer, Walter Pullen, Hudson Gilman, Brody Davis, Keelan Whitsitt, Austin Shiver, this is a good one. I always love the double letters. Weston Woosley, Aniston Pearson, and William Hauser. So congratulations to all of y'all for making it, and play hard for your final game of the year in the All-Star game. I'm sure that it's going to be a lot of fun. Get your guys involved in Southern Elite Sports or just whatever kind of youth sports that you can get them involved in. In fact, we had our second game last night, First Baptist Church League for youth basketball. We got the W 14-4, man. So that was a lot of fun. Basically, everyone on the floor for our team got an opportunity to get a basket. So that was a lot of fun. The teamwork is starting to work into it, and you're starting to see their progress, man. It is a lot of fun when you see things start to click for them. So if you ever have the opportunity to coach, officiate, scoreboard, volunteer your time for youth sports, it is a very, very rewarding feeling. Who has the most receiving touchdowns in a Super Bowl? Call or no, don't text. Call now, 850-215-6290. That Acuna deal is 8 years, $100 million. So that is not too bad. And Justin also says his nephew Leighton out there going to be balling for the All-Star game. I know that is going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to witness that. That'll be Thursday for our game. I think all of the games are on Thursday, so y'all go check them out over there at Frank Nelson. That was a lot of fun. Very thankful to be a part of Team Dynasty along the way, and for now be a part of Team Blue for the All-Star team for the 4th and the 5th graders. What's been going on with Carson Beck, man? What's he been spending his money on?
Apparently a brand new Lambo, man.
Yeah.
They said it goes for like $270,000, I guess.
Yeah, I think $270,000, $300,000, whatever. But that NIL money looking pretty good over there, Georgia, huh?
Oh yeah, man. No, but that's kind of what NIL money is supposed to be about, though. Like,
no, not Lamborghinis.
Well, no. My point is like proven players, right? Like,
okay,
it's not a true freshman. It's not some high school recruit. They're giving $300,000 to come play at Georgia as opposed to Michigan or whatever else.
Did he spend the money, or is this a lease?
I guarantee you, it's a lease.
That's what I'm assuming. Kind of advertising stuff. Somebody's doing that.
It's probably an NIL deal in and of itself.
Okay,
right? Like it's part of advertisement for that. He probably pays X amount on it. I don't know. I'm not. That we need the account.
I don't think he probably pays anything on it. He probably's got it on the cheap, for nothing. All he's got to do is drive it around and tell everybody where the car came from.
Exactly. That's probably what it is as much as it is. It's probably an advertisement deal. I mean, just like, what was it? Ewers, when he first got to Ohio State, got like a Bentley or something like that from one of the local dealerships up there, ended up leaving for Austin 8 months later and had to give that back, I'm sure. But that's how most of those deals go. There's a great story that former Georgia coach Jim Don used to tell at SEC Media Days, and talking about how like these players had these balloon car payments when they got to certain universities. Like this car dealerships would give them these cars for very small payments on the front end, assuming they were going to make the NFL on the back end and pay exponentially more on those later payments. And there's always been ways around the loopholes of giving players free cars and all that kind of stuff. It's been going. Now it's legal. Now they can flash it in front of everybody. There's always the joke about Saban and the Dodge Chargers and
the Rory. Saban and them had the Rory last year.
But no. Hey man, I'm excited to see what Carson Beck can do coming back this year. The guy probably he made some decent money coming back to Georgia and say go in the NFL.
I would say so.
But
I would say so.
Hey, but Heisman favorite preseason. He's going to be one of those top 3 type picks preseason. It all depends on how next year goes for him. But he's going to make some good money this year and has a chance to make elite money going into that 2025 NFL draft.
Yeah, that's a good point, though, about the NIL deal. C.J. Stroud, Quinn Ewers, and it goes all the way back to Eric Dickerson with the Trans Am.
No, Herschel Walker got a Trans Am from Clemson this time with Georgia. So, it's been going on. I mean, NIL, pay for play, it's been going on.
Was Eric Dickerson, was that SMU? Or
SMU,
yeah, that's where it started.
That 30 for 30, the Pony Express.
I haven't watched that one yet. I started it, but I haven't finished it. There's a real good one on Reggie White that I've seen a couple times now. That the Minister of Defense. That one that's
a great one.
That's really good. And then there was another one that I didn't finish watching, but it was oh man, I think it was just on the 49ers in general.
The Steve Young and Joe Montana.
Yeah, like an NFL films type deal,
about,
man.
Like was it Eddie DeBartolo, the old owner and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Talking about him.
Yeah, but again, I didn't watch all of it, so I don't have a great assessment of it. But yeah, that tends to happen to me a lot with documentaries. Is start the documentary, and then it's like a 3-day process of like, okay, I've had enough of like watching the same thing, and I like it. That's why the only thing that I really watch is sports, because everything else I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with this and this. Yeah, then we'll watch a little bit more later, and that's the cool thing about documentaries in this day and age that we live in. Back in the day, I would have had to like watch what I could, and if I felt uninterested, then I would have to hope the next time that it comes across the TV, I'm picking it up at the same time of which I left off. Now it's just like, okay, I kind of remember about what I was watching, and then boom, just start over.
Well, then it went to TiVo ago
there.
where you could record it.
Yeah.
Now it's all streaming. And you can just
All of
access
it
it
streaming.
wherever, you know.
Yes, sir. How about the NBA All-Star Game is going to be playing on a LED glass court?
Okay.
I hope nobody has epilepsy.
I mean, this is going to be wild because it just makes me think that eventually we're going to be watching games. It's going to look like we're watching TV on TV. So the floor is basically like right now it's going to be cool and everything, and then in 4 years it's just going to be advertisement.
That's what they're going to do. They're opening the door for advertising. They're going to get everybody to be all like, "Oh, this is so awesome!" Like with doing the floors, like during the tournament, like in season tournament, and people are going to be all fantasizing about that. Oh my God, this looks so cool! This is awesome! Blah blah blah. And then a handful of years later, you're going to see like Rokutan, and you're going to see like like all this Cialis and stuff like that on the floor, And I mean, look at soccer games now. Like the whole background, it's all like
the hardwood floor.
Hisense TVs and stuff like that they're advertising across the whole thing, And at least like in soccer, they don't have the commercials. That's because they have all the advertising right there on the screen. So think about that. Maybe they can go to where there isn't any commercials really because there's so much advertising right there. All the time.
But with like American sports, though, there's always those breaks in the action, timeouts, half times, all that kind of more so than soccer, right? Soccer's just continuous action for the both halves. So it's like you couldn't have a football game with. I mean, you could, but there's so much downtime in football as far as like timeouts and reviews and all that kind of stuff. But don't get me wrong, I want less commercials in football.
You fill it with replays. You fill it with like like commentary on what's going on in the game. Pictures of Taylor Swift. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do.
Previews of the new album. Yeah. There we go, man. That'll be perfect.
Or whoever else is famous in the stands.
There you go. That'll be perfect. I mean, I think that there's. All you got to do is when you go to live games and like the dead time that you see there, and you're like, what are we waiting on? You know what I mean? Like, let's eliminate that. I feel like you can figure out ways to get your advertising in and not have to have the people sitting there at the stadium being like, what in the way? And if you watch the referee on the field, you'll know, okay, we're in a TV timeout, but still, like, let's not keep the people at the stadium waiting, and let's not keep us here at the house who's watching on the couch. Like, we don't need to be waiting. Let's make it a happy medium for everyone. And guess what? We're still going to be buying these people's stuff, right? Like you can shove your advertisements down our eye holes all you want to, but like we're still going to be buying your stuff, especially if it's a good product. A good product is going to somewhat sell itself, right? We're just drowning in advertising at this point in time. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Hour number 2 is up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer, push it in. College basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, he saw that coming, Rampant.
The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. The rest of the day, there will be a gentle breeze out of the north, sunshine, and 64. Clear skies tonight, colder at 43, and a wind coming out of the northeast at 6 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny and a light breeze right around 7 miles per hour with a high of 62. About the same at 63 Thursday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
College basketball lives here. WGSX Lynn A, WPLQ Port St. Joe, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is an active member of the Panama City Beach Chamber. We want to introduce the newest members to the Beach Chamber. Continental Public Adjuster, Florida, CFY, Homie's Eatery, coming soon. Power Wash, Panama City, Late Bloomer Flower Shop, Seniors Med Insurance, Comfort Keepers, and Nothing Bundt Cakes, Panama City. Congratulations from the only local sports talk station, ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's go time all the time. Sports talk around the clock.
Oh my gosh!
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick. We're taking your topics here, 850-215-6290. We did have the Senior Bowl this last weekend. Few of y'all got to go by winning some tickets here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful time there. But Tyler, go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say, what do you think of Spencer Rattler getting the MVP?
I didn't watch a single second of the game, or really the only thing I did was talk to people who were at the practices about some of the things that they saw. But yeah, this weekend, man, I just really didn't. I would watch Sports Center at the end. I would watch a couple of basketball games, but yeah, just finding a little bit more time in the outdoors rather than just spending my time on the couch and trying to do my best reading stuff. You know what I mean? And that way we can all be happy, right? I don't have to be miserable just sitting on the couch. Not that it is miserable by any means, but yeah, I just like being transparent. Didn't take any time watching that, so I don't have a good. Was he worth? What do you think of him winning the MVP?
Well, I mean, I didn't watch a whole lot of it. That's why I was asking. I just saw a couple, bits and pieces here and there, kind of had it on the background. But just because of the way his career went, there was a lot of promise for the guy a few years ago. Then he kind of had a bunch of bad games, kind of fell off the table as far as Heisman talk and things of that nature. So just wanted to see if you guys think maybe he's going to have a resurgence. Maybe there's going to be other people maybe looking at him as far as drafts, in the later rounds.
I think something like that could help his draft stock, but I think that I just think that Spencer Rattler is what you get out of Spencer Rattler, which is we were talking about this with Anthony Edwards in the league, and he's a very fun character. He's a great basketball player. I don't want to take that away from him, but when talking about Spencer Rattler, also a really good football player, but in the NFL. It's really hard. Jameis Winston, you know what I mean? He's a guy that's he'll cause some very exciting plays for you, but then on the flip side, he'll have you scratching your head how does an NFL quarterback make a throw like that type deal? So
that's what happens when you eat W's, I guess.
There you go.
No, I mean, it's Spencer Rattler was once described by a guy who much smarter than me in the College Football Hall of Fame as a great 7-on-7 quarterback.
There you go.
But when you get the line of scrimmage into play, that's where his game falls apart. But, obviously winning the MVP is great for him as a personal achievement. Most of the Senior Bowl week is spent in practice. That's where the true growth comes as far as climbing up boards.
And he wasn't having a great practice from what I was hearing.
I mean, maybe. But typically, the week of practice is much more important than the game itself. That's why guys like Michael Penix didn't play in it. Mm-hmm. A few guys didn't play in the game who practiced all week, because that's where you're getting the hands-on work with the NFL coaches. You're getting to be in front of them a lot more. The game is hard to evaluate in a lot of ways, because you got a lot of guys who aren't used to playing each other, trying to play with each other or play together, and it just it doesn't fit very well a lot of times. It's like the way the Pro Bowl used to be. It was just.
Yeah, it's an all-star game.
Yeah, you can't come together that well.
Can I put us on pause for just 1 second? Fox, Warner Brothers, and Disney's are set to launch a new sports streaming joint venture in the fall, and it's going to have ESPN, TNT, and Fox Sports on the new app together. So basically, we've cut the cord from cable to have streaming, and you pick out your individual channel, and now it's good. It's all going to be. I mean, YouTube TV is exactly. They'll come up with like Strable or something like that. They'll call it something different and figure out a way to charge you more for exactly what you were complaining about. Like the whole reason we didn't want cable and to go to streaming was because I'm paying for like 99 channels that's probably a low number these days, but saying like you're paying for so much stuff that you don't watch, and the whole purpose of what we're trying to do as a society is let us pay for what it is that we're actually using, and if that can become cheaper for us, then maybe we can buy milk and not have to sacrifice something else. Like, it's already bad enough that milk and gas is what I mean, like the same exact price for a gallon essentially. Actually, I think milk might be a little bit cheaper now, but not too long ago. But yeah, it depends on the day. Like, we're playing the stock market in the daggum grocery store on a consistent basis.
Some days it might be cheaper to put gasoline on your cornflakes.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, I'm just seeing this. This looks like it is some sort of breaking news. So, ESPN, TNT, and Fox are all going to be on an app together in the future near you, which is already on YouTube TV. I believe all of those things together. Like, what's the difference in YouTube TV and like buying the cheapest rendition of cable? Like,
and then if you have ESPN, doesn't it already come with like ABC and the Disney already together? So now are they going to take that away and that's going to be separate, or is all that going to be included with the ESPN? They need to probably make that clear too for people.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This world is crazy. But yeah, so sorry about that. Just seeing that, I'm just like, wait, so we did all of those to get right back into the same thing. Let's get back to the Senior Bowl here. And Spencer Rattler is the MVP. That's about what we've discussed to this point. Was there anyone who stood out to you? Was there someone who you really weren't thinking a lot about, or maybe had been like, they didn't live up to my expectations or to what I thought that they were going to bring to the table, and then through the week of practice and then maybe in the game they're resurging on your board?
I mean, I can't say I saw a ton about a lot of the stuff. I know a couple of Georgia Bulldogs, Ladd McConkey and Tyke Smith had some good weeks. Javon Bullard had a pretty good week of practice as well. I think Ladd and Bullard were both named like the MVP of their respective position group on their team, so that was kind of cool just watching them go out and do their thing. I know Brandon Fisk out of Florida State had a big week. He made some money, it sounds like, this week. So, like I said, that's the bigger thing. Is I don't want to say guys can't lose money at the Senior Bowl, but it's the story about the guys who typically make money is a lot bigger. Unless you have unless you have like a big time quarterback that comes out there and just drops it off, or just plays horribly, or you have a big time prospect. But it's weird because the Senior Bowl doesn't typically attract the biggest name prospects, right? Because they don't need to play in the Senior Bowl. There's no point risking your draft stock at the Senior Bowl if you don't need it. So it's a really interesting combination of guys who go there to try to prove something. And now they're allowing juniors in the Senior Bowl, which I'm not a huge fan of, because I feel like if you're a junior coming out early, you should be not. You shouldn't get an extra chance to prove yourself. That's what your senior season was for. Yeah. You chose to give that up.
I like that. That is it's about them.
That's a great take.
That is a great take, because it's about them kind of, or
it's these guys Senior Bowl, last chance to prove themselves for the NFL.
And the Senior Bowl is using it as well. Some of these guys have just as big names, if not bigger, than some of the seniors. So that, helps our brand. But at the same time, it does hurt the seniors who chose to play all 4 years of ball. I was going to say at the same school, but that's
out the window.
Way out the window, but chose to play all 4 years of ball, and that's their opportunity. And for a junior, if they wanted that opportunity, they could come back and play 12 more games in the regular season of college football. That's a really good point. And you say did you say that they're doing that in high school as well?
Yeah, the Army All-American Bowl is now allowing juniors to play in the All-American game. That's typically been reserved for high-profile seniors in like early mid-December is when that typically goes.
That was like the McDonald's game. They let Bronny play, and he wasn't a top 24 player this last year. Again, it's TV show. It's ratings. What can we do to get more eyeballs? We don't care about the senior kids playing their 4th year. We care about ratings and money.
Yeah, right. And then now, I mean, again, that's another. But you look at Bronny, though, and that's a good point, because, okay, you put him in the All-American game when he did not do anything to deserve that outside of being born to LeBron James. outside of being the son of LeBron James. And then you would think that, all right, if he was an All-American and let's say he just didn't get to play because he was on a team with some guys who were more notable and had better statistics to him or whatever, then you would think that it would have played out in college. But what's he averaging, like 5.5 right now? Like, yeah, I'm right there with you, man. And it is, here's the other thing. We tell these kids all the time, especially people who have just graduated high school and they're like 5-6 years down the road or whatever, hey, like, don't speed things up. You know what I mean? Like, you only get this opportunity one time. And we're trying to turn them into adults as sophomores, and then they get to college and it's like, hey, the quicker you can get to the league. In fact, if this stop right here is not working out for you, change. And there are certain situations where the transfer portal should be utilized. And I think that it's good for both coaches and for programs, and for the players. But just because the going gets a little tough or whatever doesn't mean it's time to just move on from there. There's some situations where you need to work through it, and you're going to be very thankful that you work through it when it's all said and done.
And for the Senior Bowl, though, the problem is like a junior who chooses to play in the Senior Bowl. Brock Bowers isn't going to play in the Senior Bowl. He doesn't need to. Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't playing. So what mid-level junior is going to go to the Senior Bowl and instantly skyrocket? Like, nobody. Like, there's nobody that's going to play in that game that's going to boost ratings significantly.
Yeah.
So it just seems like an odd choice. Like I said, save it for those guys who've earned it, whether it's a guy from New Mexico State, North Dakota A&M, or whatever, I'm saying those guys who aren't going to get a chance to play in front of college scouts, maybe not get a chance to play in front of on a national television audience. Maybe they've never done it in their college career. Like, let those guys have those spots. Don't give it to some kid from, Georgia because he didn't want to play his junior year, but he's not good enough to get drafted. Yeah, don't give it to a Florida kid, a Georgia. Like, those guys have the opportunity. They're choosing not to take it. I'm not a big fan. I kind of understand where the high school game is coming from, because the high school game used to be huge for college announcements.
Yeah.
But now with the early signing day, all those kids are signed by the time this game pulls. So now they're hoping that these juniors are going to commit, and like that will boost ratings. That will get them there. But I still don't love it. Like, I'd rather see kids from from Panama City, Florida, get a chance to play in a senior all-star game as opposed to some junior that's going to be the talk of the town for the next year anyway.
And then what about like for players who may have opted out of their bowl game? Do you think that if you opt out of your bowl game, maybe you shouldn't be playing in the Senior Bowl?
A little bit. I mean, That's a hard position. How can you say the bowl game doesn't count? But the week of practice, kind of what I said earlier, the week of practice is what matters. But you're going to play in the Senior Bowl, a game that doesn't count for anybody.
Yeah.
But not your bowl game because it didn't count enough for your team. I think that's an odd. I think there's an interesting
tape is tape.
Yeah, tape is tape. Like I said, if you practice all week and don't play in the game, it sucks. But I get it.
Yeah.
But how are you going to play in the Senior Bowl? That game's not going to improve your draft stock that much more than the bowl game did. I think it's a weird situation where we're okay. So this game doesn't count, but it counts a little bit more than this other game that doesn't count.
And you are invited to both of them because your team is invited to the bowl game. It's an invitation, and then as a player, as an individual, you're invited to the Senior Bowl. So there is that. So it's hard to. Well, what I was going to say is, all right, it makes more sense for the Senior Bowl because it's like, well, they got invited to that. But then I'm like, well, you do get invited to a bowl game. Maybe it's not a letter to you addressed individually, but you are a part. You have signed a letter to play for whichever team it is that you're playing for. And so therefore you should have been playing in that.
Your risk of injury is no less of the Senior Bowl than it is the Tax Slayer Bowl.
Yeah. And I think that's just something that we want to see, because also to play devil's advocate of that, and I think that all of us can do this, is we do understand that a lot of these kids that are making these decisions are doing it because, hey, what if I do get hurt right here and that drops me from first to third round? We're talking about a huge difference in money. I do think, though, if we're going to think that everything happens for a reason, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Right? Like, I don't know if you're really putting yourself at any more risk. It's just like this whole thing with load management. Like, you cannot prove that, and they've done the studies, right? They cannot prove that load management is of any benefit to keeping players or to helping them stay away from injuries, lessening their chances of injuries, or does playing in back-to-backs increase their chance of injuries? They've done studies on this, and they don't have a solid answer on it. So at the end of the day, why try to prevent something that you don't even know if the measures that you're taking are preventing it?
Yeah. No, it's like wearing a helmet while driving a car.
And
do you know if it's going to help stop it? No, you don't know what we're going to. But logically, it kind of makes sense, right? If you're wearing a helmet, you get an accident, you're going to probably be less hurt. But there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee of that. But then also, is the helmet going to affect your vision from the peripheral side of things? So you're trying to prevent something, but at the same time, you are
maybe adding to it.
You're that's a good point. We're over here saving the world, man. Come on now. No.
What other problems can come across?
850-205-6290. Philosophizing with. All right, man. Let's see. The SEC and the Big Ten, that special advisory group, do you think that that's something that's going to end up growing legs? Like, and stick around? Because it's the SEC and the Big Ten here, but they're going to be taking on. I could see something happening where the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to stick together for the greater good, but some of the other conferences don't like it because the SEC and the Big Ten are pushing for things that are working better for the SEC and the Big Ten, but maybe not for the other Power 2 conference or the other two Power. What are we calling them? Are we going to the Power 4? What are we about to say next year?
It's got to be the Power 4, even if the Pac-2 still exists. They're not a Power 5 conference. They can call themselves one, but I'm not going to. It's interesting to see because obviously college football is what drives everything. Mm-hmm. That's what money comes from. No other sport is. There's a handful of basketball programs that are profitable. Outside of that, everything's financed through the football program. But we've kind of talked about this before, and I'm interested to see if it ends up coming to fruition. Does college football have its own kind of division? And then the Olympic sports, for lack of a better word, basketball, baseball, soccer, do those sports then form back into the original kind of old school conferences as we come to know them? Because that's the only way it makes sense. Trying to apply football, we've seen it, football postseason doesn't make sense to a lot of people because it's just a completely different game, at least in college. Or major college football. But so having all these, having gymnastics follow the same guidelines as football isn't going to make a ton of sense in the grand scheme of things. And I think, there's going to be legs to it. There's too much power and money when it comes to collegiate athletics between those two conferences now. Mm-hmm. The top, you leave out Clemson, Florida State, Virginia Tech. There's probably a few teams in the Big 12, but outside that, you're talking probably 15 or 20 of the most powerful universities are going to be in these two conferences. So a majority rule situation, who's gonna own up against them? Nobody. So it's just going to become more interesting if this is a college football exclusive thing and everything else kind of reverts back to the norm, or if they're going to be like, hey, this is the way it's got to go and it's got to go.
I would really like to see it revert back, not in college football. I'm fine with college football and college football going the direction that it needs to go. That would be best for the sport. Figure out a way that we can all agree, and there's no way that all of us are going to agree that that's the best way to go for the sport. But I don't see how this helps in basketball. No. I don't see how this helps in baseball. They already play way more games. They make less money. As a program that specific sport makes less money, spends more money on travel, right? Because they maybe they don't have as many players on their roster, but because they're playing that many more games means that the air miles and the bus miles and all of that stuff is adding up. So why not just and all of the tradition and all of that would still stick around. Okay, yes, it's not happening in football anymore, but guess what? They were playing baseball for a long time too, and now you're just eliminating these conferences, and man, that's a beautiful thing in these smaller sports. Oh, yeah. Like these Pac-12 tournaments and these automatic qualifying tournaments. When you talk about basketball, what are these tournaments going to look like? How is the Big Ten even going to? And I'm sure, obviously, they're going to figure it out. But the Big Ten and the SEC conference championships or conference tournaments next year, when you've got 18 and 20 teams in there, and it's like, okay, I think 14's good. I think 14 is great at that point, and it's really nice to have the Power 5 and Group of 5 conferences. For me, I agree 100%, and I hope that ends up happening. I just think that we're a ways away from that because I don't think that the NCAA is going to give up control without a very hard fight. And I think with that fight is a lot of ugly things are going to happen along the way, and we're already kind of seeing it. Does Tennessee deserve to be dealing with what they're dealing with? Does Florida State deserve, you know what I'm saying? They're sitting here, and it seems like, at least on the surface, from what we know, all of these situations that that even the Michigan situation are very petty situations. And I'm sure that if the NCAA wanted to do their due diligence and dig a little deeper, there would be things that they could find and actually harp on. But why waste the time in doing something hard when you can nitpick at the stuff that's at the surface that you feel like you can get away with?
Yeah. Now, I mean, the thing is, the NCAA hasn't had control of college football in 40, 50 years probably at this point. Like, just surrender it. Like, the NCAA, give it up, and we'll give you everything back.
Yeah.
And I think that's eventually what's going to have to be like, the college football, this alliance that they're forming. We're like, hey, give us college football, let us arrange it how we want to, and we'll give you all the conferences back. We'll release everything and see how it goes. But neither of these organizations is going to work particularly quick, so it's going to be 5, 6, 7 years down the road probably before we hear anything of substance anyway. So we're in the short term, it's going to be different, but ain't much we can do about it.
Ain't nothing we can do about it except for sit back and enjoy the ride and complain about a little bit along the way. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to talk a little Bill O'Brien. What will the Buckeyes do if he heads to Boston College and the Super Bowl? You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
How about this, Laura? So, fire crews found some burned remnants Tuesday of a bronze statue of Jackie Robinson that was stolen last week in Kansas at a public park. They cut it down from the ankles there. Wichita Fire Department received a call about a trash can on fire. They figured out that was pieces of the statue.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Tuesday. Clear tonight with a wind coming out of the northeast around 6 miles per hour and a low of 43. Tomorrow morning, look for a brisk wind and sunshine with a temperature near 56. In the afternoon and evening, a high around 62 and mostly sunny. Thursday, quite warm with a high of 63 and some sun. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Let your New Year adventures begin in a new Kia Sorento. Bill Bird Kia has a few new 2023 Kia Sorentos left, and they will not last long. You get the savings and drive away today. Now offering 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $2,122 per month for $1,000 financed for 48 months. Quantities limited, no down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. Must see dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/4/24.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
When you've completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back in the doghouse. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop and Caveman Rick. We're on 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Tomorrow night after the Afternoon Underdogs, Alabama and Auburn. In Auburn, last time they played just a few short weeks ago, it feels like Alabama got the better of them at the house. And this, Auburn is coming for revenge. This is going to be a great basketball game. And then Thursday evening, we're actually going to have the Spurs and the Magic. So we'll have the Magic radio play-by-play announcer on with us tomorrow, Jake Chapman, at 4:20. That should be a good time. Do we have someone on the phone line?
Nah, Chef Chris was calling in, and he wanted to talk about the stuff we were just talking about, but the call was kind of breaking up. Asked him to call back in a moment and see if we get a better connection.
Sounds good. Good to hear from old Chef Chris, man. Hopefully he is out there doing well. What's Bill O'Brien to Boston College? Now, he's already taken the job at Ohio State as offensive coordinator, but then the head coach for Boston College took a job over there with the Green Bay Packers. OC, right? Yeah,
DC.
DC took the DC job over there. There's been so many coordinator changes. Dude, I'm telling you, and you brought it up, I don't think that we've got a coordinator in the league that's been with the same team now for 2 years, right? Or over 3 years.
Offensive coordinator, yeah.
All right, an offensive coordinator. We'll get back to that conversation. Chef Chris, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What you got, my friend?
What's up, Dave? What's up, K-Man? Rick, how are y'all?
We're
awesome, man.
Yes, sir. Doing great. How are you doing?
Man, it's been a while. It's been a while since I talked to you guys. I haven't heard from Dave since his team took my team's spot in the college football playoff, which is something y'all were just talking about.
Dude, and when I went to bed that night, I was like, there's no way Alabama's going to get in this playoff. Like, they shouldn't get in the playoff. Yeah, they beat Georgia, but, right is right and wrong is wrong. So I just want to throw that one out there. I get it from the entertainment side and everything, but,
I got to rib you a little bit, Dave.
Yeah.
But, no, like we both lost in our bowl games. One of them mattered and one of them didn't. So it is what it is. I hope to see, and I know that you guys were talking about it, and I think that all of the points you guys made were really, really great and right on the money. But I hope to see that it is like, I think that there's two teams in college football now that are the wild cards. And those wild cards really, Clemson and Dabo can say what they want to say, but the two wild card teams in college football these days are going to be Florida State and it's going to be Notre Dame. Whether those two teams decide to join one of the two super conferences, because that's what we have now. Obviously the Big Ten and the SEC are going to make do with what they need to make do. They're the money, and that is understandable. But the two biggest brands outside of those worlds are clearly Florida State and Notre Dame. And depending on what Deion Sanders does, because he is a factor as well, Colorado. But I do think if those two teams can kind of gear up together and make some decisions, especially if it comes to the Big Ten, that's where Florida State needs to be. But really, I hope to see more parity in college football. I think that's why we all loved it. Every now and then an Arizona State comes up and wins games, or in Arizona, or a team, one of the 27 that are from the state of Texas. So I just hope that it stays that way. I don't really want to see the same 24 teams in it all the time. I like the idea of, we have 60 teams that really, truly can beat any other team on any given day.
I disagree with that. I mean, how many teams on any given day would have beaten...
It's a Georgia fan, Chris.
I'm not Georgia fan. I'm saying, like, how many teams on any given day could have beaten Michigan this year? Maybe 5? I don't think there's 6 teams that can beat Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
5 or 6.
I don't think Georgia and Alabama should be playing for the same title as UTEP and UMass. Like, they're fun games to watch. Like, just competitively, like, UMass and UTEP don't have the same resources.
And that's a good point, because I was thinking about this. It's wild that you brought that up, because I was thinking about when we started talking about, the breakaway, right, with the SEC and the Big Ten. Well, both of those conferences have some schools in their conference that don't necessarily belong. They're kind of like the odd man out, if you will. But outside of that, it's really Florida State, Notre Dame. And for me, I was thinking originally Florida State, Clemson. But I love the fact that Notre Dame has to be in there. So I'll say Florida State, Notre Dame, Clemson. But if you go over to the Big 12, like, what's a school over there right now that you're like, man, I would really like them in my conference? They're gone. Texas and Oklahoma are gone.
I really like Colorado. And it's not just because of Deion Sanders. I'm not, obviously, after what he said about I'm not a Nole, I'm not the biggest fan of Deion, but you got to respect what the guy's doing, right? Like, he
100%.
He understands how to play. He understands how to play the game on a different level. And I think that a lot of the older coaches see that, and they understand where it's going, and that's why they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Colorado is an outlier. They have plenty of money. They're they won a national championship in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And they've had a Heisman Trophy winner. They have the potential to be a team that could win a lot of football games, and especially with a coach like Deion, the right coach in Colorado can win.
I have no disagreement.
If it was up to me,
I have no disagreement with the potential that comes with that. Like, there's no doubt about that. I was rooting. I mean, honestly, I thought Colorado, the way that they started, because I was thinking 6 or 7 wins for them, and I ended up getting a little high. But if we're looking at that from the beginning of the season, a lot of people, if you were saying Colorado was going to win 6 or 7, you were crazy. Then the season started, and it's like, man, they might win 8 or 9, you know? And it kind of fizzled out. Lots of injuries, and there's just not a lot of depth there. So the potential is absolutely there. And so just on the potential alone, you're right. That's true. Colorado is a team that could fit into one of the big conferences. But outside of that, outside of Florida State, Notre Dame, and Clemson, and I'll add in Colorado, there's some up and coming brands. There's some good brands, but there's just not a whole lot out there. You know what I mean? And I'm with you, though. I do like the parody, but I do also, and we asked this to man, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was the Troy, a young man who writes for the Troy newspaper, and I asked him right here on the air, would you rather have a group of 5 championship? Would you rather compete for something that you actually have a realistic chance of winning? No, we like the being the underdogs and stuff. So hey, if those are the people who kind of matter, right? Yeah. Like us saying, well, you shouldn't be playing for this championship really doesn't matter if them and their fans even more so, and the people that cover their athletics want to fight for it. So I'm indifferent on it. I think that it would be really cool to have a G5 air quotes championship, but if at the same time, I'm right there with you, Chris, on the more parity. Like this year, even if only 5 or 6 teams could have beat Michigan on any given day, there still was a lot of parity in college football, and I think that it made it better for that. And I think it made it better that Alabama wasn't the same Alabama that it has been, that it struggled throughout, and there was any given Saturday that they could have gone down, and they lucked out a lot of the time, and then Florida State goes undefeated, and that's the worst parody of it all. And it would not necessarily parody, that's a terrible word there, but that was the worst thing. That should never happen. A Power 5 conference champion should never be left out of the playoff, no matter what it is that's happening. Like, I got to stand by that, because I know that if it was Alabama and they had lost their quarterback and looked trash down the stretch, I would be saying that, So I hate that, and hopefully they can bounce back, though. But we do got the 12-team college football playoff now, so I do think we're going to be in a better position, Chris.
Oh, yeah, the 12 teams is a great change. I hope that it's not just, 11 teams from the Big Ten and the SEC, and then maybe the winner of the Big 12 and the ACC that gets added. I know that they have, you're going to have the Tulanes of the world, and you're going to have, the whatever it is. But in some cases, like Tulane and USC a couple years ago in Dallas, that was a brilliant football game. If you love offense, it was a lot of fun to watch. Caleb Williams put on a show, and Tulane played lights out. But it shows you, like, any given day, a small team from Louisiana, they have some talent in that state, can play with a team from Los Angeles with a Heisman-winning quarterback, and however it goes. Even the LSU game this year, look at that. Look at the LSU bowl game. What a football game that was. And that game really didn't matter a whole lot to either one of those teams, So I like the parity. I think that if we're going to do a 12-team playoff, which we are, I think that the bowl games still have to matter. I think they matter to the fans. I think that a lot of people plan their vacations off of those things, and there's a lot more that goes into it than just a game played on the field. And I know that is what matters, yes, but in the big spectrum, the 30,000-foot view, it's more than just a football. I think there's certain people that are finding that out now. We'll see what happens in Dublin whenever game day takes the stage, and there's 10,000 rabid Florida State fans that have been drinking all weekend in Ireland. But at the end of the day, it's college football. It's passion driven. I think that's what makes it great.
So real quick, we got a Florida State fan saying bowl games matter, right?
What was that?
So we got a Florida State fan saying bowl games matter, right? That's what you just said, bowl games matter?
Bowl games always matter. I've planned my vacations off them for the past 15 years.
Okay, I was curious because there was a lot of Florida State fans that said it didn't matter at all.
Absolutely. But was that going to happen? No. No, it wasn't going to happen.
But you do wish that your players would have played in the game, but you could also understand why they didn't play in the game.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. A couple years ago, actually, it was a Florida State versus Michigan game. Mm-hmm. Guy's last name was Butts. He was a tight end. He played for Michigan. Within a couple of series, he got very hurt, and it basically ended his career, right? Mm-hmm. Also, Florida State, in a game versus South Carolina, Greg Reed put a hit on Marcus Lattimore that basically ended his career. He wasn't the same after that, and everybody knows it. So when you're playing in these games that there is nothing to win except a little bit of hardware, and you've been there before, especially for teams like Florida State, for teams like Michigan, for teams like Alabama, what is there to win? When the standard is national championship, all the time, every time, all day, every day, and that is what we eat, sleep, and breathe in these programs, what is worth winning? And take a look at what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss. He went out, he won his bowl game, he did what he needed to do, and he has a great class coming in. I think Ole Miss is a sleeper. I would keep a really big eye on Ole Miss. But they cared about their bowl game. Whereas a team like Florida State and a team like Georgia, who, we entered the season all wanting national championships, does it mean it doesn't matter? I don't think so. I think it matters to a lot of people, but is it realistically speaking what we wanted? No. And when your expectations are national championship or bust, especially for Florida States and Georgia's, then it is what it is,
See, I think my problem with that take is where Florida State has been for the last 6 years. To have a Orange Bowl doesn't count mentality is kind of I don't know, it just seems like a cop-out. I get why a game didn't matter to a lot of fans, but Florida State didn't go to a bowl game for 4 years in a row, and then now to say the Orange Bowl wasn't good enough for Florida State seems a little bit odd.
Oh, no, I totally agree with that, and I see exactly where you're coming from. But when you go undefeated and you've won 19 games in a row, and you have the opportunity to compete at least for a championship, and you don't get that, that could be a little bit disappointed, or a lot of it disappointed, depending on how you feel about it. Even if we had to travel to Pasadena, or it doesn't matter where we have to go. We didn't make a bowl game for a while, but we went to bowl games, at least from a FSU standpoint, for years upon years upon years. And whether it was the Camping World Bowl in Orlando, and we played out in San Francisco against UCLA a year that they beat USC, when USC was at the top of their game, there was reasons to go. And now it's because it used to be because the players played, and now they don't play. So, do you want to go watch a scrimmage? Yeah, it's still, we're all excited to see baseball in a couple weeks, right? But it's still baseball that's played in the spring that doesn't matter.
Yep. No, and I love that because this. So I love how it's yes, the bowl games do matter, they do matter, but we can't force the players to play anyways. And so with everything that happens, there's a reality of it, and the reality for a lot of those players, that game would have been different had Florida State been 11-1. Then I think Chris is a little bit more upset with the players, even though he knows that they won't play, but he's more upset with them if it's 11-1, and it's hey, you're in the bowl game that you deserve to be in, which is the Orange Bowl. But when you really should be in the college football playoff based off of the merit, it's I can understand the guys doing that. Do I like it? I'm not going to say that I like it. That, I feel like that's what Chris is saying, is not saying that that he likes it, but that he understands why.
So my problem with that is the Orange Bowl is arguably the most prestigious game that anybody on that Florida State staff has been a part of. Norvell hasn't been to a national championship. None of those players on that roster have gone to a national championship. So for them to say that game wasn't, I get why they were disappointed. Don't get me wrong. I 100% get that. But to say because we've been to bigger and better stages, Florida State as a program has, but nobody associated with that team has. And that's where my disconnect with his rationale. I get where he's coming from. I just think it doesn't hold water because Mike Norvell's not a national championship winning coach. Keon Coleman has never played in a national championship. Jared Verse never has. And I think that's where that team could have I'm not saying they were wrong for not doing it, but they could have taken more pride in getting to where they were regardless.
Oh, yeah, I would have loved to have seen them play. I think America would have liked to have seen those guys play. I mean, do I want to see Keon Coleman go up against Georgia's secondary? Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want to see that, because he's a brilliant wide receiver. He runs great routes. He has incredible hands. And Georgia's defense is the best of the best. Even though they did lose to Alabama, I would go out on a limb and say, if Georgia played in the college football playoff, they probably would have won it. Right?
I could agree with that. I could agree with that 100%. I could also say that if Alabama and Georgia played 3 times, I think Georgia wins 2 out of those 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one logic that Dabo Swinney logic actually works in. Georgia was in the college football playoff. They're going to win all of it because the Georgia, they have the best roster, most talented players. They have what I believe now is currently the best coach in college football.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they're probably going to win. They're probably going to win. Did they win in Atlanta? No. But if they played Alabama again, would they have won? I think they would have. And they would have been favorite.
The more important thing, though, is that's why when you win your games, you should be rewarded for win your games. And even if you lose games early in the season, if there's someone above you who might be struggling at the end of the season, but there's zeros in the column that matters the most, which is losses, then you should be there. And as an Alabama fan, I got to stick by that argument, man. I could understand the pain. But Chef Chris, we are up against the break. Thanks so much for calling, man. It's really good to hear from you.
Hey, thanks, you guys. I love y'all. I love listening to y'all every afternoon, and y'all are great. Best sports show in Northwest Florida.
Hey, appreciate you, Chef Chris. Best chef. Well, I can't say that because we have so many chefs attached to it. So one of the best chefs in Northwest Florida, bar none. Hey, really do appreciate that. Glad to know he's doing well, and really love. I agree with I understand your disagreement with where he was coming from, but I really do respect the way that it's hey, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that the guys were right, but also at the same time, I'm going to sit there and say that I understand it, So I like both sides of that. I thought that was a very fun debate. You guys riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Coming up next is going to be Coach Scott Thomas of the Gulf Coast State College Lady Commodores, the softball team. We'll be right back.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Tuesday. Clear tonight with a wind coming out of the northeast around 6 miles per hour and a low of 43. Tomorrow morning, look for a brisk wind and sunshine with a temperature near 56. In the afternoon and evening, a high around 62 and mostly sunny. Thursday, quite warm with a high of 63 and some sun. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Love is in the air at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, and what better way to celebrate love than with a beautiful piece of jewelry. Our Valentine collection combines the most popular trends and top sellers with the largest selection at the best prices. From exquisite fine jewelry to our most trendy and affordable sterling silver pieces, we're sure to have the perfect gift to melt her heart. Folks have trusted us for 50 years to make their Valentine sparkle. This year, make it sparkle even more with a gift from Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Mid-South Lumber, where they treat you like family. Locally owned and serving the residents of Bay County for over 45 years. See Mid-South Lumber for all of your DIY projects, including windows, doors, siding, lumber, and millwork. Are you building a new home? Bring your contractor in to Mid-South Lumber and meet with a member of their sales team to discuss your framing, siding, windows, and doors. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City. 717 West 11th Street.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're here in the doghouse just looking at some people that we know and their Twitter mentions to famous people on Twitter, especially when it comes to Florida State. But we're not going to dive into all of that. We're going to talk with the head coach for the ladies, the Lady Commodores, the softball team over there for Gulf Coast State College. Not just yet. We're not. So we're going to be getting him on the line with us. Hopefully I did not write down the wrong number for Caveman Rick. Coach Thomas, if you're listening, call us at 850-215-6290. There's a chance that I made a mistake and put a typo on the sheet. I can actually kind of check that. It's kind of, sometimes it's a little hard to do the talking and the looking around for here, but we'll check on that. 850-215-6290. No, I got the right number there, so we'll figure that out, though. But yeah, great conversation from Chef Chris there. Again, want to tell you guys about the Warrior Beach Retreat Salute. They're going to have a parade. You can check that out at warriorbeachretreat.org. They're going to have a ceremony at First Baptist Church. That's 640 Grace Avenue, downtown Panama City. It'll be Thursday, February 22nd. The ceremony starts at 7. Admission is free. It is open to the public, and it's going to have a wonderful guest speaker there. I'm definitely going to be there. Excited about this. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. He is in the U.S. Army and retired U.S. Army and U.S. Congressman. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're good. We're good. So we'll be trying to get Coach Scott Thomas on with us. If we can't get him on today, then we will figure it out another time tomorrow. If you've got some time to go check out Gulf Coast softball. I mean, we've got a lot of great sports going on tonight. But if you have some time to go check out boys or girls basketball or the baseball team who just won the tournament, the Visit Panama City Beach tournament over there at the Public Sports Park. If you have an opportunity to go check out any of the athletics over there, especially if you have a young one who is playing youth sports, you don't have to go travel very far to take them to a college level athletic event and watch these guys. Like, let your kids watch how these guys play. I mean, and maybe a light bulb could click for them. It's a lot of fun for me. I know that. If anybody's got that North Bay Haven PK Young score, it started at 1 p.m. for boys soccer in the state tournament. Santa Fe is going to be hosting South Walton tonight. That match starts at 6 p.m. I'm trying to get my soccer lingo down, so that if I am talking to someone who calls soccer football or anything like that, then, I can break down the barrier so I don't sound like one of the fans that Lindsey Horan was talking about, because I know, I felt like she was talking about me when she said American fans don't know very much about soccer. Wakulla is traveling to Bay tonight. That's a big one for the number 1 seed Tornadoes as, PK Young upsets North Bay Haven. Oh, that is tough. The score was 4-0, and the Blue Wave is what PK Young is. They're going to be advancing to the Class 3A regional semifinals there. And thank you so much to Tyler for finding out for us. As now we have Coach Scott Thomas on the line with us. Coach Thomas, how's it going this afternoon? Coach Thomas, you there?
Hey, man. I am, but I'm having a hard time getting a connection where I'm at here. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you if you want to, though. If you have some time tomorrow, we can make it happen tomorrow if that would work out better for you.
Well, it's just a matter of getting the signal straight here. I can't get, for some reason, my phone is not giving me a good, strong signal right now.
All right.
Not sure why.
We're hearing you pretty good on our end. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, if you can hear me, I can hear you well enough. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, what kind of waiver do I got to sign to come out maybe after the season and get struck out by some of your pitchers? Because they are throwing the daggum heat over there.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, man, let's go. I'll contact him later. All right, so that's Coach Scott Thomas. We're just going to not be bothersome for the listeners. I know that it's tough, and I know that he wants to be on with us, and we really do appreciate him giving us some of his time. What we'll do, though, is we'll figure out another time when he can be in an area that'll work out a little bit better for us and make that happen. But I do want to say, going to those games and Kaylin Cook, who's the catcher over there, one of the things that stood out to to me, and I even asked her about this. I don't know if you guys remember Tony Batista from the Major League Baseball world, but he had a stance where his right foot was kind of at the front corner of the plate. His left foot, well, I can't say that it was at the front corner of the plate, but his right foot was opened up, and his left foot, it was like he was facing the pitcher. And she has a very similar batting stance. And really the thing that stood out to me, though, obviously her batting stance was really cool. And I asked her if she had any influence on that. Or nope, that's just, the batting stance that she created and went with. And so it's the Kaylin Cook batting stance. But one thing that stood out to me is she is a very vocal leader. They've got a bunch of leaders on that team, but they did a great job, kind of being down, sticking with it, and coming through for a big win. And I seriously would. If I were to get in the box, let's say the coach at the end of the season were to let me sign a waiver or something like that, or I really don't think I would be able to foul off that many pitches. I mean, the ball moves at such a rate, at such a quick rate, and then also me not being used to where, first off, even if it was regular baseball, it's been a while since I've played baseball, so that would make it tough. But then when you get, you have to get used to where that release point is coming from. And then here's the other thing: in softball, like in baseball, the ball is not going to rise. In softball, it does rise, but they can also drop it off real quick. So, I mean, you just would never know where that thing is going, and it comes with the heat. That is for sure.
I don't think people realize, any level of collegiate athletics, the level of which that is so much greater than anybody you've probably played with or against is incredible. I played rec league flag football with a couple buddies, and one guy was probably one of the best athletes I've ever played against, and he didn't even get any sort of college offer sniffs coming out. And watching him play that, I'm we're not even the same level, and then he's not even good enough to get any the level of athleticism required to play any level of collegiate sports is just incredible.
It really is, and people you're right. It kind of goes over their head, but man, go watch Gulf Coast basketball, go watch Gulf Coast baseball, go watch the ladies basketball team, go watch the ladies softball team. It's a nice pool of talent over there, and the little field over there, Joe Tom King Field, is a beautiful place to watch a ball game as well. They hit a couple of home runs as well, which is really cool, because that's one of the things about softball, which I think I've started to notice in college baseball too, is that you start hearing the dugouts cheering a lot more, and defense, stuff like that, which is really cool. But I've always known that about softball. And then number 99, I believe her name is Allie, hit a home run the other night, 3-run shot actually, and knew it as soon as it came off the bat. And they've got this little thing where all of the girls get on either side of the dugout, or get on either side of the entrance of the dugout, and she runs through, and then they're I don't know. It's just a fun atmosphere to be around, man. Softball's a great sport, and we've got a great opportunity right here in our very own backyard. But yeah, that stinks for North Bay Haven, falling to PK Yonge 4-0. So that'll do it for North Bay Haven season, which was a very special season. A great record. So congratulations to them. Bay taking on Wakulla tonight over there at Tommy Oliver. That's at 7 p.m. Right now, North Bay Haven. This game's probably getting ready to wrap up. McClay and North Bay Haven. That game started at 4 p.m. Over there at Tommy Oliver. And then PSFAS is 8-8-1, and they'll be taking on South Walton who is 13-1. That game tonight at 6 p.m. And the Commodores on the baseball side of things have won 4 straight games. They had that 3-day tournament at the Public Sports Park. Gulf Coast won the first one 2-1 over Pearl River. That was on Friday. Then on Saturday they beat St. John's River 5-0. Then Northwest Florida 4-3, and then getting the whole shebang there with a 12-2 6th inning run rule over Wallace of Dothan, Alabama in the title game. They're now 7-0. And they're going to be playing in a little tournament at Chipola this weekend. They are number 1 in the state poll, so that makes 2 teams that are number 1 in the state poll. The Lady Commodores in basketball are number 1 overall in the NJCAA rankings, and college baseball for the Commodores in that weekend tournament. 2 games Friday and 2 games Saturday for the Gulf Coast State College Commodores. how, for the Commanders, now I know we had the whole discussion about Caleb Williams and what our thoughts are on it, but I think that it's safe to say that he is the number one prospect, right?
Yeah.
If you're the Commanders, you just get Cliff Kingsbury, who's got a history now with Caleb Williams. What are you giving up? What are you doing to try your hardest? How hard do you try to go after Caleb Williams?
I mean, like I said, there's a lot smarter people than me that believe he's that guy. You're the number 2 overall pick. So if you're the Bears, if the Bears aren't super sold on Caleb Williams, or maybe they're not super sold on getting rid of Justin Fields altogether. I mean, Caleb Williams is a DMV, Washington, D.C. area guy. Like I said, you have Cliff Kingsbury. You have the new owners trying to make a splash hire. You got a new head coach in Dan Quinn. It's a lot of newness over there that can try to build a lot of goodwill with this fan base very quickly by going out and getting that guy. The question is, are the Bears sold on getting Caleb Williams, or are they willing to give him up? Because if they're willing to give him up, or if they're not willing to give him up, there's nothing you can do, right? There's no amount of picks, I don't think, without giving away 5 or 6 first-round picks, whatever the limit is, and just being completely reckless with your future. But I think if could you see a similar, would you do an RG3 type deal, like a 3? But the thing is, you're only moving up one spot.
I think it would take a couple first rounders and probably like a player like Terry McLaurin, but then you're giving up one of your offensive pieces. You got nobody on defense because you got rid of them this past season.
got rid of everybody.
So the cupboard's bare on that side. So what do you do? I mean, I think
you should have held on to Eric Bieniemy and seen what you could have traded.
Probably so.
There you go.
But like
Eric Bieniemy
you got
for
new
Caleb
ownership.
Williams.
They want to make a splash. They want to put rear ends in the seats. I mean, you can't blame them because getting rid of Snyder, man, this is breath of fresh air for Washington fans. So
no, it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways for Williams to wind up in Washington. It's just it all comes down to the Bears. Do they want Justin Fields, or do they already have a deal under the table worked out, and that's the reason why they went out and got a Cliff Kingsbury, because they already knew they could get Caleb Williams from the Bears?
Or does Cliff... I mean,
there's possibilities that they're already talking about.
Cliff Kingsbury was all but a done deal to the Raiders, and then out of nowhere he's going to the
said because he wanted a 3rd or 4th year, but that's easily said if you wanted to make the move. You know what I'm saying? You could easily say that you just wanted more time on the deal.
Yeah, but why do you? Well, I don't know what kind of a leg you have to stand on to get how do you get a third? We were talking about 2 years ago.
He's a selling point for Caleb Williams.
No, I mean I get that, but I'm saying you go to the
the Raiders weren't moving from 13 to 1.
No, absolutely not, absolutely not. But still, and even if you're Caleb Williams, I wonder what the reality of the relationship is. Does Caleb Williams, if you're Caleb Williams, do you want to go with the guy who got you to a 7-5 right now? Obviously, it's not on the offense, it's on the defense, but do you want to go there, or do you want to see if there's someone else? And you have no choice in the matter. It doesn't matter. But does he feel strong enough about that relationship that that's what's going to help his NFL career flourish?
Maybe Washington knows that Caleb Williams is going to force, Chicago's hand and say, I'm not playing for y'all.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, it's not like they hired Lincoln Riley. Like, Cliff Kingsbury was like an assistant, analyst for a while, and then he's like a quarterback's coach. Like, he's only got 6 or 8 months of working with Caleb Williams. So there's been the rumors that Caleb Williams wasn't going to play for Chicago no matter what. Maybe he stays true to that, and maybe, Chicago does what they can to get what they can from Washington. But, because if not, they could claim New England's going to move up, maybe. But the problem is, once you get past New England, like Arizona's, I don't know if they're going to jump them. LA's obviously not going to trade it for Caleb Williams. The Giants, maybe. Tennessee. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could, but a lot of teams that don't have to.
Well, that is going to do it for us. We don't have to try to figure out anything else to talk about today, this afternoon. Coach James Hale Show is going to be live at 7 in the morning. We're going to be back tomorrow afternoon, and we'll reach out to Coach Scott Thomas, see if we can get him back on with us later on this week. You guys go support your Gulf Coast Athletics, man. They do a great job. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Y'all have a great day.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Brenda is up next.
I wanted to tell you that I've given